And we're back. I've just been mesmerized by the sunshine I see streaming through my windows even as we speak. Gosh, it looks great to be out. I just got to get outside a little bit. Our guest on this segment, it's a first time for her. She's a little nervous, and I want to make her feel welcome. Ashley Lincoln. Ashley, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. Now, correct me and don't hold back. Correct me if I get your title wrong. You are a certified mental health first aid trainer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Explain to me and to the folks who are watching, what is it you do?
So I work with Cherokee Nation Behavioral Health. We have multiple grants in behavioral health and a lot of different services. And one of the services that we're able to offer is youth mental health first aid training. So we train educators, anyone that comes in contact with youth. There's a youth mental health first aid track as well as an adult mental health first aid track. I'm trained in youth, so I train a lot of teachers, administrators, school administration. And what youth mental health first aid is, if you come across a student that may be experiencing a mental health crisis, it gives you the skills to be able to intervene to get them to care. So what
At
questions?
least, yeah, you're at least through the skills you provide the teacher, you're able to, that teacher, then to get the person who needs help to the right party, correct?
Yeah, because a lot of times, if someone comes to you saying, are you thinking of killing yourself, is a really uncomfortable question to ask. And what's even more uncomfortable is waiting for their response, because if they say yes, what steps do you take next? So what this does is it gives you the skills to ask that question with confidence, and then if they do answer yes, the skills to get them to care.
You know, it's interesting to me that the Navajo Nation, which I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is considered a plains tribe, while we are considered a woodlands tribe in this part of the world. But the Navajo Nation is showing a sharp increase in suicide. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they just ran out of drinking water a couple of times. The pandemic has really severely uh, hurt the Navajo tribe. And I'd just be curious to know if you have any stats from your side of the fence of folks who have requested help with mental issues.
We have seen an increase in referrals. We've seen an increase in substance use, patients needing inpatient care. We've seen an increase in all of those, and suicidal thoughts, especially among youth. They're used to going to school and being able to interact with their peers, and they haven't been able to do that. And those basic needs of food and water and all of these things, they have been threatened. And so how do you address your mental health when you're worried about those things? So being able to help our citizens and just meet them where they're at. And I know I keep saying that, and when I say that, like, it's a big thing for us to be able to offer telehealth appointments. So, if we have families that don't feel comfortable coming into our clinic because, of COVID, then we're able to respect that. And, Cherokee Nation is great at taking a lot of precautions to even come into the clinic, but we still want them to feel comfortable. And if we're able to do that through a telehealth appointment, then that's what we're going to do.
When you encounter one, regardless of age, that says, yeah, I've been given some serious thought to leaving this world. Suicide seems my only option. What do you do?
Well, so youth mental health first aid teaches you, the next question you ask is, do you have a plan? Because definitely that changes the severity of things. If you say, no, I've just been having these thoughts, I can't stop thinking about it and I'm so stressed out, I think it'd be better if I wasn't here, opposed to, I've been, hiding my grandma's pills for 2 weeks and I plan on taking them tomorrow at 3 o'clock. There's a difference in severity. So based on their response, that's, if I have a patient that comes in and they say, I'm having thoughts of suicide, and I say, do you have a plan? And they say, no, but I really need some help and I'm having these thoughts. I say, well, let's talk about this. And usually I interact with youth. So I would say, based on what you told me, we have to tell someone, and we can do that together. We can have your mom come in here, or we can call them, whatever you feel comfortable with. But we have to share this with somebody, because it sounds like you're feeling really awful right now, and I don't want you to feel that way. As opposed to if they have a plan, because we're not going to let them out of our sight at that point, and we are going to get them to care, get them a therapist to provide some crisis intervention.
Oh boy, that's a tough job that you guys have. How are the teachers responding to your training? Clearly, I don't think that's something they teach them in teacher school, if you will. How do they embrace the first aid recommendations that you offer?
We've had a really good response to it, because this is unfortunately a need that they see, and they're happy to have those skills to address it, because that's the number one complaint we have is, if I ask a student that and they say, yes, I'm having these thoughts, how do I respond? Because if someone says, if I ask a student, are you thinking about suicide? And I ask it in that manner, they may not tell me, because I didn't ask that question in a way that made them feel confident that I could respond or provide them help. So teachers have really been, thankful to have this training, because, right now we're having a lot of school's done virtually. So how do you reach those students who aren't in front of you? So even more so, we have to have that relationship and being able to talk to them and recognize, like, hey, you seem a little off today, and in our Zoom call, is everything okay? And knowing what to do if they say, no, I'm not okay.
How do you make the recommendations to teachers? Do you do it individually? Do you have seminars? And if so, are they regularly scheduled gatherings?
So Youth Mental Health First Aid is an evidence-based curriculum. So it is an 8-hour course. There's different ways we can teach it. So we can do it all in one day, or we can break it up into 4-hour sessions. Youth Mental Health First Aid has actually responded to us doing everything virtually, and so they actually have where you can do the first part of the course virtually on your own, self-paced, and then the second part of the course, you do over Zoom with the instructor.
Back years ago, if someone had thoughts like that, they didn't want to talk about it. And if somebody did commit suicide, the family didn't want to talk about it. It was kind of a shameful thing. Times have changed. People recognize it now for what it is. That help can, in most cases, be rendered to help prevent a suicide. And I think that's a marvelous thing that all of the training that all of you have, who are able to step into the trenches and work both with the teachers and with the students. Do you also work with elderly Cherokees?
Yes, so we have children's behavioral health, we have adult behavioral health, we have a MAT clinic, which is medication assisted treatment. So it's for those with an opioid use disorder, and we're able to prescribe them Suboxone. And what it does is it keeps them out of withdrawals, and they're able to hold down a job, they're able to function, while we still provide, therapeutic intervention with them. So it doesn't have an age range, so just anyone who has an opioid use disorder, and then we have clinicians who are trained in adult interventions that can help that population.
How long has your program been in effect?
I don't know. I should probably figure that out. That's a good question. I can say behavioral health in the past 10 years, I've been with behavioral health for 8 years. When I started 8 years ago, there wasn't even a children's behavioral health. So I'm really thankful that I've got to be a part of seeing it grow. And we have a huge department, and we're able to serve a lot of people. And I feel like we're growing with the need. And like you mentioned before, there is a lot of stigma around mental health. That's something we fight every day. It's not, people don't want to talk about, having thoughts of not being here. And so,
I understand.
I'm glad that I think we've done some work, but there's still a lot of work to do so that people do feel comfortable talking about it. And that's part of the training that we do as well.
I hate to do this. We're out of time. Ashley Lincoln, thank you for coming in, and perhaps down the road we can get you back to talk some more.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you folks at home for watching. We'll see you next time.